radio this summer. Amanda Seales is here.
I am Amanda Seales.
Comedian, artist, actress, activist, truth teller. The woman who never bites her tongue is coming to KBLA Talk 1580. And baby, the conversations are about to be unmatched. Every Friday, she's going to be lit noon to 2 p.m. and back again 4 to 6 p.m. starting Friday, July 17th. Only on KBLA Talk 1580. Amanda Seales, keeping it real, keeping it raw, and keeping it rooted. Politics, pop culture, Black excellence, the stuff they don't want us talking about. Amanda's talking about all of it.
You keep interrupting me when I'm talking, and you don't want to hear the point that I'm going to make. And yet you want me to respect your point. And that's not how a debate works.
This is not your average radio show. This is a Seales Summer. Fridays, noon to 2, 4 to 6. Starting Friday, July 17th. Only on KBLA Talk 1580. Don't just listen. Tune in. I'm coming!
Protester anthems, yes, we chanting a movement of people. It's like we dancing to the ministry of. It's the energy of, in memory of them that we love. The trinity of the people, the peace, the power, the truth. We speak the powers even louder. We can say it blacker, we can say it prouder. A woman vice president that went to Howard. Now we talk helping Black businesses, and our differences is magnificent. Bringing light to the poor where the prisons is. I was told good life is where forgiveness lives. The ascension is to leave what's left behind and feed the seeds with deeds that bless the mind, caress the mind, and question justify. With you and God in time, I best align.
Shine, flies, no time to waste while it's passing you by. Shine.
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai Corte, your host and White House correspondent, joining you live in afternoon drive time where I'm in touch. And so tag your it. You be in touch. Be sure to follow me on all the socials at Dr. Nii-Quartelai. Just type in Dr. Nii-Q, DRNIIQ, and there I am, fresh for you to follow. Also, be sure to download the KBLA app if you haven't already. That way you can take us with you everywhere you go. Last but not least, subscribe to A More Perfect Union podcast. That way you won't miss some of our most memorable conversations. And so, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the drive home. Traffic is not the only thing backed up today. So is the whole dang country. This hour, Trump leaves NATO summit and he comes home talking about bombing Iran again, like it's a callback tour. California progressives are fighting each other over a billionaire tax. Yes, you heard that correct. Democrats can't even agree on taxing the rich, and boomers are about to hand down $36 trillion to people who already have money, shocking absolutely nobody who grew up on the wrong side of that inheritance. Then my guest, Alain Leroy, joins me with the Venture Philanthropy Blueprint, because it's time we stop begging billionaires for scraps and start building our own capital systems. In hour two, we've got Vincent Jones, the CEO of Beyond Impact, and our politics and pop culture correspondent, Al Reynolds, joining us. Ben Crump's got a new case out of Mississippi. ICE is back in the headlines after another death, and the Smithsonian's secretary, well, he just told the White House in writing, not today. Plus, Trump ditched the Qatari jet. We'll tell you why that matters. So for the next 2 hours, let me just confirm, you ain't got nowhere else to be but right here. So let's get into it. It's time for your national news roundup. It's time for you to decide the good, bad, and ugly headlines for today. Trump threatens new Iran strikes after the NATO summit. That's right. So get this. Trump leaves the NATO summit in Turkey. And I want you to really sit with this. He leaves the NATO summit in Turkey, and while flying home, he says the ceasefire with Iran is over. Told reporters, quote, "I don't want to deal with them anymore. They're scum." That's not diplomacy. That's a group chat breakup text. But here's what's not funny. The U.S. hit 80 targets. 80 targets in one day. Oil jumped over 5% in hours. And in the middle of explaining all of this to the press, the president mixed up Iran and Japan. He called them the Islamic Republic of Japan while talking about a missile strike on a U.S. aircraft carrier. Now, I need you to understand something as Black folks, as brown folks, as people of conscience, as people who've watched this country send our sons and daughters to fight wars justified by information that later turns out to be loose. We've seen this movie. Vietnam, Iraq. Remember weapons of mass destruction? Every time it's our neighborhoods that supply the enlistees, and it's our neighborhoods that get the folded flags at the funeral. So when the man with his finger on the button can't keep track of which country he's threatening, that's not a gaffe. It's a national security risk with our names on the casualty list. Now, let's come on back to California, where something almost poetic is happening. There's a ballot measure, Prop 40, that would put a one-time 5% tax on the state's roughly 200 billionaires to help save Medicaid funding after Trump's cuts. Sounds like a slam dunk for progressives, right? Well, tax the billionaires, save the healthcare. Nope. Split right down the middle. Gavin Newsom's against it. Ro Khanna's for it. SEIU healthcare workers are pushing it, but Planned Parenthood and the California Medical Association are against it. Sergey Brin and other billionaires have already dropped over $100 million fighting it. Y'all, we can't even get consensus on whether to tax the people who could end world hunger with their couch cushion money. This is the same energy as a family reunion where everybody agrees grandma needs help, but can't agree on whose house she's staying at. Meanwhile, grandma's still standing there. Meanwhile, the healthcare system is still underfunded. This is what happens when the left isn't actually one thing. It's a coalition, and coalitions have competing interests. Something to remember heading into 2028. You hear me? All right. And this last one, this one's personal for a lot of us. There's a new study out. Baby boomers are going to pass down, get this, $36 trillion over the next 20 years. Sounds like great news, right? Great news for the next generation. Well, here's the catch. Nearly 3/4 of that inheritance money is going to households that are already wealthy. That's right. The richest boomers have the most to give, so their kids who are already doing fine, guess what? They get more. Meanwhile, the bottom 90% of boomer households only hold about 16 trillion combined, and a lot of that gets eaten by healthcare costs before it ever reaches an heir. So let's be honest about what this means for us. For a lot of Black families, there was no 40 acres. There was no GI Bill that actually applied equally. There was redlining that kept our grandparents out of the neighborhoods that are worth a fortune today. So when this great wealth transfer headline, when it runs on the news, it's not describing our reality. It's describing a system compounding itself. Wealth begets wealth. Get that? That's not a headline. That's a design feature. And the only thing that my family's passing down, the The only thing that many of our families may be passing down for sure are cast iron skillets, some good advice, a group text that argues about Thanksgiving seating for 3 weeks straight. And that's special too. That's special too. When we come forward, we go from what's broken to what's being built. My guest, Alain Leroy, has literally written the blueprint for how philanthropy and venture capital can stop fighting each other and start funding us. You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. More when we come forward.
You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
As a fitness coach, my active psoriatic arthritis can slow me down. With Skyrizi, risankizumab Riza, I'm treating my skin and joint symptoms so I can keep moving. Skyrizi, a prescription-only injection for adults, helps me move with less joint pain, stiffness, swelling, and fatigue. And for those who have plaque psoriasis, 90% clearer skin is possible. With Skyrizi, there's no daily dosing. It's just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions, increased infections, or lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, get checked for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor about any flu-like symptoms or vaccines.
Thanks to Skyrizi, there's nothing like clearer skin and better movement. And that means everything. Ask your doctor about Skyrizi. Visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKY-RIZI to learn more.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. Created with a share of the 1984 Olympic Games surplus, LA 84 began operations in 1985 as a grant-making and educational foundation. Today, the LA 84 Foundation supports hundreds of nonprofit youth sports organizations throughout Southern California annually, trains coaches, commissions research, convenes conferences, and maintains the world's premier Olympic and sports library collection. They are transforming lives and communities through the power of youth sports. To find out about youth sports programs for yourself or your child, and to get information about the grants and support they offer to schools and nonprofits, or if you want to make a donation, please visit la84.org. That's la84.org. Or you can call them at 323-730-4600. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
This November, you'll decide who leads California. So shouldn't you hear directly from the people asking for your vote? Join us for California Voices, a political town hall and ballot forum, Saturday, October 3rd, 2026. Meet candidates running for governor, lieutenant governor, attorney general, and other major statewide and local offices, including Mayor of Los Angeles, city attorney, and LA County Sheriff. Get clear, nonpartisan breakdowns of the propositions on your November ballot, both sides, no spin. And ask your questions directly, in real conversation, face to face. California Voices is brought to you by KBLA Talk 1580 and the Empowerment Congress, giving you the information you need before you vote. Mark your calendar, Saturday, October 3rd, 2026, California Voices. Follow KBLA 1580 for details and download the KBLA 1580 app. Your vote, your voice. Be there.
Hit me! National News The Consequence. Informed opinion and analysis beyond the headlines. You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580.
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai, and really delighted to welcome my next guest, who spent his career at the intersection of two worlds that rarely talk to each other. I'm talking about Fortune 500 consulting and grassroots impact investing. He's a strategist, a social entrepreneur, and a technologist. And his new book out right now. It's called Venture Philanthropy Blueprint. I want to welcome Alain Leroy to the show. Welcome, Alain.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing great.
Well, I'm so glad to have you here to talk about what we can build together. I oftentimes say on this show and off air that I think we're in an era that begs for radical imagination. And so I want to tap into your imagination this hour. So let's get started. The premise of your book, because I think it names something a lot of us have felt but couldn't quite articulate. You say traditional philanthropy funds without execution, and venture capital scales without conscience. Break that down for our audience.
Yeah, sure. That's a great question. I appreciate it. So traditional venture capital, they're going for grand slams. They want grand slams. So you've heard of a concept called a unicorn. Mm-hmm. A unicorn means a startup reaches $1 billion within 3 to 5 years. So that's extraordinary. Maybe 1 out of 100 startups that get VC funding reach that status, but the other 99 don't make it usually, right? Or maybe 10% of them reach something. And that's the model, that's the process. Traditional venture capital wants to produce, they want the unicorns to come out of the shadows, right? And that's the model, for good and for bad. Philanthropy tends to fund in the short term and not look at the long term. For example, we're giving away $1 million in grants to underrepresented entrepreneurs. That's amazing, right? You would think.
Yeah.
And after they hire an organization to find the right startups that pass their criteria and filter, and then they award a bunch of checks, and they take pictures with the entrepreneur, the big check. But if we checked in with the entrepreneur a year later or 2 years later, where are they now? So the focus is not necessarily on the results of, hey, did the inventions of the entrepreneur, are they now reaching the communities, solving the problems? Or did we just temporarily maybe change something with the entrepreneur, his situation, his family? But sometimes, that grant may also kind of, a year later, they may be in a worse position than they were before they got the money. So philanthropy, and I'm not saying let's stop giving away the grants. I'm not saying that. What I am saying is that, so what happens to the entrepreneur? They want to make money, and they want to solve problems in communities. They may not reach $1 billion, or may not even aspire to reach $1 billion within 3 to 5 years. What if they reached $10 million a year? How many people out there would love to have a business that generates $10 million every year? That's like $1 million a month. That's a lot of money, actually, right? Or even $100 million a year. What's the model to grow and scale those startup ventures? Mm-hmm. Because that tends to be under the radar of traditional venture capital, because they're swinging for the fences. They want the grand slams. They want the unicorns. They want to reach $1 billion within 3 to 5 years. They want that company in their portfolio. And in order for that company to reach that, they have to adopt some tactics and strategies that would really cause them to walk away from their mission-driven sort of mindset. So that's essentially what we're tackling in the book. It's not to say, let's burn down the traditional system. What I'm saying is just that the traditional model is just not designed to grow and scale more impact-driven ventures. So what is? And that's what we introduced in the book is, well, here's a model that is different and that could be applied for both entrepreneurs, how do I do this? Even investors, how do I incorporate more impact into my portfolio? And then the third role, what we call, is the believers, the ecosystem leaders that are those super connectors. They're doing those events, they're bringing everybody together. So for all of those roles, we call them the 3 Bs, builders, backers, and believers. It's introducing a different mindset and model for building and scaling more impact-driven startup ventures.
I mean, I really like that. Builders, backers, and believers. I first of all, I love alliteration. It's easy to remember. But I think that really sums up what you shared quite nicely. I've got to ask you, for the entrepreneurs, for our leaders, learners, and listeners that are entrepreneurs that are tapped in right now, who've got the vision, they've got the community trust, but they keep hitting a wall when it comes to capital. What's the first tool in the blueprint they should actually go use tomorrow?
Well, our model is 3 C's. That's what we say. It's capital was one, capacity is the other, and community is the third. What we advocate is having more of an infrastructure first approach. Because a lot of us, we tend to immediately, we say we got to go raise capital, but we don't realize that if you don't have the capacity and the infrastructure, you're just going to flush that money down the toilet. So if we spent as much energy going out there trying to raise capital, building a foundational infrastructure for our venture to grow and scale, we believe that you'll get a lot further. And believe it or not, once you put that in the universe, right? Once you set your mind towards, hey man, I gotta build my foundation, you will find that there's people around you actually with the skills to help you do that. Marketing people, how many skilled marketers are looking for jobs right now? People, salespeople, there's so much talent around us now, but I think a lot of us just focus on the wrong thing first. Because when you build a more solid infrastructure, and that infrastructure, it does require technology, right? We are living in a digital world, and a lot of us that have ventures that want to do good, that want to uplift communities, it requires technology to communicate with those people, to stay connected with those people. Imagine if you logged into Netflix tomorrow and they forgot who you were. Like you would be pissed off, right? Like, hey, wait a minute, I got to train this thing all over again, right? So in today's modern day, social enterprises require technology and infrastructure. And if the entrepreneur focuses on that first, we believe they will go a lot further in getting the resources that they need to then scale and grow that solution to other communities.
Yeah, I definitely take your point there. And hopefully for all the philanthropic leaders that are listening, it's just a reminder of how important those general operating dollars are. You know, and I know how precious those dollars are. Those unrestricted dollars that allow for the people that are building their organization, know their organization the best, to be able to invest more in infrastructure and invest more in the things that are going to help them to sustain over time.
Right. I mean, what we say is, invest in the infrastructure, not the intent. Right. So, what we need to do as a community is, like Motown, right? We need the Motown of social enterprises, right? We need the hit factory of social enterprises. And the tools are out there to allow us to spot the talent, identify those builders out there that have been anointed with the gift of being able to solve a problem, and provide them with the resources and systems and what we call growth operators, because they're not going to know how to build the system or what tool or technology to use and all that stuff. But I believe that the future of impact investing is to put that philanthropy into that infrastructure. And a lot of us may think, well, hey, doesn't that exist? I mean, we think it does, but does it? So an incubator and an accelerator, they put you in these 12 classes and it's amazing, but then you're back at home wondering what I do now. Like, so there's still a gap there, right? Because they still don't know how to build it themselves. So we need to start leveraging that out. We already leverage out the lawyers and the accountants and the financial advisors. But when it comes to like the marketing and product development type stuff, which is super important for a social entrepreneur, we kind of say, hey, that's why we gave them money. But then they're just going to flush it down the toilet if they don't really have the capacity to really spend that the right way.
In the book, you talk about building high trust ecosystems that basically outlast a single campaign or grant cycle. That phrase is doing a lot of work. Talk to me about why so many of our impact organizations burn bright for one grant cycle and then disappear.
Well, I think, again, it's, well, are you talking about the people delivering the funding or the people receiving it?
The people receiving it, the people delivering on the impact.
Right. So I think a lot of that is, again, without the infrastructure. So like if you don't have the right people around you to execute, if you don't have like the growth operators that could help you to build the systems that you need, you don't necessarily know the tools to acquire, you may be spending that money the wrong way. And a lot of it is also, we have to have a more of a, what we say is make as much money as you can. Because when you are a social entrepreneur and you make money, you use that money to help people. And then the money that you make could help more people, right? So we say make money helping people, use that money to help more people. So but your organization then is we have to really understand that this is a business. We're solving a problem. Can I provide a solution people are willing to pay for? And that also allows you to be a little more independent, because a lot of our organizations
hold that. Actually, Alan, hold that thought. When we come forward, I want to talk about different case studies and templates that are in the book, because I know a lot of folks who are listening are already reaching for a pen. So don't go anywhere. When we come forward, more with our very special guest, Alain Leroy, author of Venture Philanthropy Blueprint. You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580.
The audience is listening, thought-provoking, eye-opening, heart-rendering. This is where authentic voices meet powerful discussions on culture, community, and change. This is where Black voices matter. He's breaking boundaries, amplifying diverse perspectives, and tackling the issues that matter most to you. You're inside A More Perfect Union with Dr. Nii-Quartelai on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. Vice President J.D. Vance says Iran briefly stopped attacking ships in the Strait of Hormuz before resuming strikes.
But the president has said to them very simply, the Strait of Hormuz is going to be open.
Speaking in Milwaukee, Vance said President Trump had several options, but would not say what comes next. Black teen Carmelo Anthony's new legal team is seeking a new trial and wants the judge removed from his appeal. Anthony was sentenced to 35 years for murdering 17-year-old Austin Metcalf at a Texas track meet. His attorneys claim his rights were violated and argue the judge compromised his impartiality. And Navy Commander Gabriel Edwards has been identified as the sailor missing in the Arabian Sea. The Norfolk, Virginia-based squadron commander made an emergency helicopter landing July 1st. Crews searched for more than 100 hours before suspending the search. Edwards was an HBCU Norfolk State University graduate and was commissioned through the Naval ROTC. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Now at Big O, get happy with our Healthy Car Special. Includes a full synthetic oil change, 4-tire rotation, alignment check, brake, battery, and windshield wiper check. Plus, fluids topped off, all for only $59.99. Healthy car, happy life. Now at your local Big O Tires.
Is this the tackle? This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Add the Philadelphia 76ers to the short list of NBA teams with the best chance of signing LeBron as a free agent. NBA sources claim LeBron has given permission to his management team to review a proposal from the Sixers. The Sixers have become a strong contender in the Eastern Conference after making a trade for All-Star guard Jaylen Brown from the Boston Celtics. The Sixers have a great young point guard in Tyrese Maxey, Joel Embiid in the middle, and a rising star in BJ Edgecombe at shooting guard. LeBron is not given a timetable on deciding who he wants to play with for his 24th NBA season. The other teams on LeBron's short list: Golden State, Miami, and Cleveland. Since turning pro in 2018 at the age of 14, African-American tennis star Coco Gauff has earned $32.6 million. She can add $4.75 million to that if she wins her next 2 matches at Wimbledon. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
In a world full of noise, one station keeps it real. KBLA Talk 1580, where the conversation goes deeper, the voices sound like yours, and the issues that matter most to our community take center stage. Progressive, powerful, unapologetically us. Whether you're driving through this city or tuning in from your home or office, join the public square. KBLA Talk 1580. Your home for talk that enlightens, encourages, and empowers. Listen live on our free KBLA 1580 app, on our website at KBLA1580.com, or on your radio dial at 1580 AM.
Unapologetically progressive.
Our voices aren't the minority opinion. They're the American conscience. This is KBLA Talk 1580.
This is America.
All I need is one mic.
With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Tavis Smiley. Let's get something straight, shall we? Holding a black elected official accountable is not the same as having a personal beef with them. That distinction matters, and too often it gets blurred, sometimes on purpose, I think. The minute someone raises a real concern about outcomes, about votes, about spending priorities, about broken promises, it gets reframed as an attack, as disrespect, as tearing down our own. We need to stop that, y'all. That framing does a disservice to the very communities these leaders represent. Accountability is not betrayal. Accountability is what elected office requires from everybody, regardless of the seat or who's sitting in it. Let me ask you a quick question. Do you think I have a personal beef with Donald Trump? It ain't personal. It's his anti-black policies. You feel me? So why is it always framed as personal animus when the critique is in black? See, you can miss me with that mess. Black communities have fought too hard and for too long to get representation at the table. That fight doesn't end once someone wins an election and becomes president of the country, or for that matter, the city council. If anything, it raises the stakes. Representation without results is not the goal. Representation that delivers, now that's the goal. So, in the future, when we talk about a policy failure, let's talk about the policy. Let's keep our eyes on the actual record, the votes, the budgets, the promises, the perennially missed deadlines, the outcomes in people's daily lives. Because the moment we start treating accountability as disloyalty, we lose the ability to ask for better from anyone. We must never surrender our agency to be outraged when our leaders underperform. Our communities deserve leaders who welcome scrutiny, not ones who hide behind identity to avoid it. Now, let me put my hard hat on, go back outside, and see if these procrastination Crenshaw construction crews have shown up yet. I'm saving space for grace, but if these trucks don't show up soon, well, you already know. With the KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Tavis Smiley, and as always, we welcome your feedback.
Now back to building a more perfect union on KBLA Talk 1580.
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai Corte, and really delighted to be in conversation with Alain Leroy. He is the author of Venture Philanthropy Blueprint. Alain, before the break, we were talking trust. Now let's get technical because the book is in 9 parts. It has 9 parts and frameworks and case studies and actual templates. I'm looking forward to geeking out over it as I prepare for classes at Pepperdine in the fall. But walk me through one case study that you think proves that this model works in the real world.
Sure. So one of the founders that I had worked with in like 2020, he was building a social, kind of like a social club for men of color. And he had some success and he had a physical location, but then COVID hit. So he had to transition to a digital model. And I was there to help him through that because I was, my background is in technology, software engineering, branding, marketing. So, but it wasn't easy, but he had to adopt some technologies, right? To, enable him to reach out and stay in contact with his members, and then also reach people outside of just Brooklyn, New York. So we grew to service members across 4 different countries during the pandemic, and started to do digital events. It's a safe space for men of color because his premise is men of color tend to grow in isolation, and that doesn't work out, right? So he's still operating today, but this is an example of me coming in to assist him, kind of serving as his kind of growth operator, helping him to establish the systems, because what he figured out is how to speak to us, right? How to speak to men of color, identifying the problems that they're identifying, and delivering a solution that allowed them to join a community where it's just a safe space, right? So he figured that part out, right? So the entrepreneur needs to show up with an idea of what the solution is, and probably also have some validation before we could strap you to a rocket that allows you to now spread that solution across a broader spectrum of people. And sometimes just the entrepreneurs, they're not tech savvy, or they don't really, understand how to necessarily do that. So that's one example. And then we actually also winded up raising capital from the members themselves. So when you dig into the brand or the identity and what it stands for, so he turned around and offered the members an opportunity to take a stake in the company, So his valuation shot up to $10 million within like 6 to 8 months. So that's another, and that wouldn't have happened if we didn't really put the time into really more solidify his foundation and infrastructure.
I mean, that's definitely the recurring theme that I keep hearing from you this hour, is that folks really shouldn't underestimate the power of spending the time to develop the infrastructure, get the foundation right, because there's a direct correlation between getting your foundation right, getting that infrastructure right, and being able to ingest a whole lot of capital all at once, and to be able to deploy that capital to actually grow the enterprise. And so for young founders out there, some of which you may still be working a 9-to-5, building their enterprise on nights and weekends, what does measuring what actually matters, what does that look like if it's not just chasing a grant report metric?
Well, measuring what matters, first of all, what is it that matters, right? So, and that usually starts at what problem are you solving? And that's also where a lot of people don't spend enough time on. So what problem are you solving? as an entrepreneur, as a business makes money by solving problems, delivering a solution people are willing to pay for. So start there, right? And then the metrics kind of show up, right? But it's connected to the problem you're solving, right? So, for example, in the case study, men of color grow in isolation. Helping men of color reach their full potential, which is a huge, it's a huge umbrella. So it starts there, and then the measurements they kind of show up. I mean, we have to research it. There's based on the industry. Is it wellness? Is it wealth? Is it education? Is it climate, environment? There's going to be some metrics that are already out there. If you're growing your community, then it's okay. How many members do I have? How many emails do I have? How many people are attending my events? How many people are actually purchasing my product? How long does it take for me to convert somebody from the moment they learn about me to showing up at an event or buying the product? All of those things are ways to measure your progress. But you can't measure the data you don't have either. So, how do I know that my conversion rate is 10% and that sucks? It's because how many people, expressed interest, and then how many of those people actually did something else, and how many of those people, it's kind of like a funnel, right? It starts wide and then it narrows in. That's just the way it is. But you need to have kind of the infrastructure and the systems in place to be able to track and monitor all that. And sometimes, it could start with spreadsheets and stuff, but you got to understand kind of your process, the problem you're solving, and then we could work towards building that out with the right infrastructure and systems. There's a lot at stake here. I'm a father. I have a 9-year-old daughter, and that's kind of why I'm doing all this in the first place. Because I think the world could be a better place, and I believe that the way to change the world is through the entrepreneurs that have the solutions to solve the problems in the communities. So if we're not building the infrastructure and the programs and the systems to allow the entrepreneurs' inventions to reach the people, we're gonna stay frozen in this state of just not being happy about anything. And unfortunately, the traditional system for startups and ventures are just not designed to really strap these social entrepreneurs to rockets. So that's why I wrote the book. At the end of the day, is let's change this world for the next generation that's coming up. And the entrepreneurs have the ideas and the solutions. For some reason, their products and services are just they're not getting out there.
Yeah. No, I think that's great. And I teach in the social entrepreneurship graduate program at Pepperdine, and so everything you're saying is sort of music to my ears. And there's a lot of academic text to back it up, in addition to what you have in this book. I've got to ask you about AI. There are so many folks that believe that artificial intelligence offers so much promise for entrepreneurs in terms of their ability to, scale their business, in terms of opportunities for them to, manage their business more efficiently and more effectively. What are some of your go-to AI tools and platforms? And for our leaders, learners, and listeners out there that are entrepreneurs, is there a particular AI tool where you're like, look, if I had to pick one to really not just invest in, but to master, it would be this one?
Well, I just think about, in general, generative AI, right? Which is when you hear about ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini from Google, or Copilot from Microsoft. Every major brand kind of has their own version of it. Those is where, definitely start there. And then as you layer that, there's more about agentive AI, like AI agents that could do a series of things for you if kind of programmed properly. They could take action automatically. But start with generative AI, because, like, for example, all the entrepreneurs I work with now, I use and we use together in these programs generative AI, right? Now, you have to know how to ask the question, though, right? Garbage in, garbage out. So this is why it's really super important to understand the problem you're solving, because now you could use these tools to really get underneath that. Once you understand the problem you're solving, you could put some prompts out there to get more information back about that, to validate who the target audience should be. You could even ask, it's kind of like a thought partner that's operating 24/7. You could wake up at 2 a.m., right? Enter a question. It's not gonna scream at you. It's not gonna talk back at you. All the answers are
not gonna quit on the job.
It's not gonna quit on the job. But it's amazing at helping entrepreneurs to then start to, when you have an understanding of problem you're solving, the audience, now you could even use it to generate content. You have to send out emails. You have to generate social media posts and prompts. You could ask suggestions for what the campaign should be. So it definitely gives now an entrepreneur much more capacity than what existed before. And then there's all kinds of other things as well, right? We're right now, we're at the end of, we're building out an AI to help entrepreneurs based on the principles and philosophy of Venture Philanthropy Blueprint. I have over 30 years of experience in the corporate streets, right? I was doing consulting for major corporations. I had my own startups along the way. And since 2020, I've worked with over 500 founders, investors. So there's so much content that I have in my head. I'm getting it out first in the book, but also now training in AI, so that you could, when you're teaching your students at Pepperdine, you could be like, hey, let's use this tool, see what it has to say, And if, maybe not everybody's going to be down with, the philosophy that's here, because we're focused on social enterprises. And I also teach a social enterprise course. And I've put this out to my students, and the feedback that I get from them is the mindset shift of, you're right in thinking about infrastructure first, because we tend to, again, be on the chase for capital. And what I say is, you don't need money. Money needs your ideas. And and that's a whole shift in the way you think of and your approach. If you have a venture and you have a startup, focus on building that idea out. And if it's a viable idea, the resources, you're gonna attract the resources to it, right? As opposed to investing dollars and money and time on your financial projections built on nothing because you don't have the infrastructure, that's kind of what I say, right? And so generative AI is definitely where to start. I tend to use ChatGPT because that's just what I've been doing. But there's other tools out there like Claude. There's CRM systems, which I highly recommend for entrepreneurs, that allows you to think about the way that you're communicating with your customers and help you to automate that so that you don't have to answer every phone call, every text message. This stuff is happening while you're sleeping. People could book time with you at any moment. You have the calendar, they're booking it. You just get a text that says, hey, you have a meeting, tomorrow at 2:00, sweet. You know what I'm saying? So like that is really the way to go. And a lot of these tools these days are affordable. You don't have to spend $10,000 a month on Salesforce. There's other things out there that could help you to kind of start out with that base infrastructure.
Yeah. Well, our thanks to you, sir, Alain Leroy, the author of Venture Philanthropy Blueprint. It's available now, and I mean this. It's a working document. It's not a coffee table book. Put it to use. Alain, thank you for being here, and we're gonna have to figure out a way to bring you to Pepperdine to talk to some of my students in the fall.
Oh, let's do it. Thank you.
You're listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. When we come forward, a story that actually made me smile today. Turns out that flexible work isn't just a tech bro buzzword. It just solved a real problem on a factory floor. We're going to tell you all about that when we come forward.
Striving to make America a nation as good as its promise. This is A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Listen up, KBLA delegation. We have something you need to hear. Right now, you may qualify for low-cost home internet. We're not talking about a catch. This is real. Many internet service providers offer low-cost internet plans if anyone in your household is enrolled in CalFresh, Medi-Cal, SSI, or is income eligible. There are a lot of families in our community who deserve to be connected. Here's all you do. Call 844-461-7893. That's the Get Connected call center. Real people ready to help you enroll today. Or go online to internetforallnow.org to find a provider near you. You may also qualify for a low-cost computer through Human IT. Connectivity is not a luxury. In 2026, it's a necessity. And you deserve access just like everybody else. Call 844-461-7893. That's 844-461-7893. KBLA's got you. If you missed any of this, you can always go to our website at kbla1580.com. Brought to you by KBLA Talk 1580 in partnership with the California Emerging Technology Fund, CETF. Helping communities get connected. Along the Crenshaw corridor, free public Wi-Fi is now available thanks to Destination Crenshaw and the City of Los Angeles. Whether you're checking email, applying for jobs, finishing homework, or supporting your local businesses, staying connected is easier than ever because access to the internet means access to opportunity. To learn more and find Wi-Fi locations near you, visit www.getconnected.lacity.gov.
Going to a World Cup match in LA this summer? Ditch the parking stress and ride Metro. With direct service from across LA County, it's the easy way to get there for just $1.75 each way.
As the poet laureate of Harlem, Langston Hughes, once said, I too sing America. I am the darker brother. They send me to eat in the kitchen when company comes, but I laugh and eat well and grow strong. Tomorrow, I'll sit at the table when company comes. Nobody dare say to me, eat in the kitchen then. Besides, they'll see how beautiful I am and be ashamed. I too am America. KBLA Talk 1580 and the Inner City Youth Orchestra of Los Angeles invite you to attend the 18th season finale concert, I Too Sing America, honoring the 250th anniversary of the United States of America, this Sunday, July 12, 3 p.m. at the Walt Disney Concert Hall. Curated by conductor Charles Dickerson and performed by the largest orchestra of color in the nation, I Too Sing America promises to be a show you won't soon forget. This Sunday, July 12, 3 p.m. at the Walt Disney Concert Hall in downtown Los Angeles. Purchase tickets at icyola.org or from the Music Center box office at musiccenter.org.
I too sing America.
We face tragedy, but we don't fall into despair. We continue our work to build a more perfect union.
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai. And before I get into this next story, I just want to give a shout out to my friend and brother, Mr. Scott Evans, for his Emmy nomination in the category Outstanding Daytime Personality. for Access Hollywood. You might remember Access Hollywood. He's no longer on Access Hollywood. He has moved on to bigger pastures as the host and executive producer of House Guests, which is pretty dang popular on the YouTube. And so what a mic drop as he turns the page on Access Hollywood, and a whole Emmy nomination. And so congratulations to my friend and brother Scott Evans. Okay, in our remaining minutes, I got to share this story real quick. It's about flexible work model, how it's easing manufacturing labor crunch. I promise you some good news. So here it is. There is a piece out about manufacturing plants using flexible part-time scheduling to solve labor shortages on the factory floor. Not everybody wants or can work a rigid 40-hour week, but parents and caregivers and folks managing disabilities or a second job, turns out that when you build the schedule around the human being, instead of forcing the human being to contort around the schedule, people show up and retention goes up and production goes up. And so now I say all that to say, as somebody who has personally tried to explain flexible scheduling to an old school supervisor who thinks clocking in at 8:59 instead of 8:55 is a moral failing, this is progress. This is what happens when companies actually listen instead of just quoting productivity reports at people who are exhausted. And because here's the truth, our community has always known how to make a way out of no way. Multiple jobs, extended family childcare, side hustles before side hustle was a hashtag. Corporate America is just now catching up to something Black and brown households have understood for generations. Flexibility isn't a perk, it's survival math. And glad somebody in a boardroom finally did the math on that. You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. We're joined with our politics and pop culture correspondent, Al Reynolds, and Beyond Impact CEO, Vincent Jones, when we come forward.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. Vice President J.D. Vance says Iran briefly stopped attacking ships in the Strait of Hormuz before resuming strikes.
But the president has said to them very simply, the Strait of Hormuz is going to be open.
Speaking in Milwaukee, Vance said President Trump has several options, but would not say what comes next. Black teen Carmelo Anthony's new legal team is seeking a new trial and wants the judge removed from his appeal. Anthony was sentenced to 35 years for murdering 17-year-old Austin Metcalf at a Texas track meet. His attorneys claim his rights were violated and argue the judge compromised his impartiality. And Navy Commander Gabriel Edwards has been identified as the sailor missing in the Arabian Sea. The Norfolk, Virginia-based squadron commander made an emergency helicopter landing July 1st. Crews searched for more than 100 hours before suspending the search. Edwards was an HBCU Norfolk State University graduate and was commissioned through the Naval ROTC. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Now at Big O, get happy with our healthy car special. Includes a full synthetic oil change, 4-tire rotation, alignment check, brake, battery, and windshield wiper check. Plus, fluids topped off, all for only $59.99. Healthy car, happy life. Now at your local Big O Tires.
Is this the title? This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Add the Philadelphia 76ers to the short list of NBA teams with the best chance of signing LeBron as a free agent. NBA sources claim LeBron has given permission to his management team to review a proposal from the Sixers. The Sixers have become a strong contender in the Eastern Conference after making a trade for All-Star guard Jaylen Brown from the Boston Celtics. The Sixers have a great young point guard in Tyrese Maxey, Joel Embiid in the middle, and a rising star in VJ Edgecombe at shooting guard. LeBron is not given a timetable on deciding who he wants to play with for his 24th NBA season. The other teams on LeBron's short list, Golden State, Miami, and Cleveland. Since turning pro in 2018 at the age of 14, African-American tennis star Coco Gauff has earned $32.6 million. She can add $4.75 million to that if she wins her next 2 matches at Wimbledon. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
She's sharp. She's fearless.
I don't know what they told you, but if they told you that cutting me off is how I was going to get clicks, stop it now.
She's that girl, and she's bringing all of that to your radio this summer. Amanda Seales is here.
I am Amanda Seales.
Comedian, artist, actress, activist, truth teller. The woman who never bites her tongue is coming to KBLA Talk 1580. And baby, the conversations are about to be unmatched. Every Friday, she's going to be lit noon to 2 p.m. and back again 4 to 6 p.m. Starting Friday, July 17th. Only on KBLA Talk 1580. Amanda Seales, keeping it real, keeping it raw, and keeping it rooted. Politics, pop culture, Black excellence, the stuff they don't want us talking about. Amanda's talking about all of it.
You keep interrupting me when I'm talking, and you don't want to hear the point that I'm going to make. And yet you want me to respect your point. And that's not how a debate works.
This is not your average radio show. This is a Seales Summer. Fridays, noon to 2, 4 to 6. Starting Friday, July 17th. Only on KBLA Talk 1580. Don't just listen. Tune in.
The blackness. Keep on. Never say die. Keep on. Blackness. Keep on. Never say die. Keep on.
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai Corte, your host and White House correspondent, joining you live in afternoon drive time right here in LA today. I'm in touch, and so you be in touch. Follow me on all the socials at Dr. Nii-Quartelai. Just type in Dr. Nii-Q, DRNIIQ, and there I am, fresh for you to follow. Have you downloaded the KBLA app? If you haven't, run, don't walk. Download the KBLA app. That way, you won't ever miss us, especially when you're on the go. Last but not least, subscribe to A More Perfect Union podcast. That way, you won't miss some of our most memorable conversations. We are in hour 2 of our show. Let's start lightish. Trump is flying to England. And instead of that shiny, gifted Qatari jumbo jet that everyone had questions about, remember that? Well, he's back on the old Air Force One. No official explanation given. Now, listen, I cover the White House, but I'm not a security expert. But when you quietly swap out the luxury foreign gift plane before an international trip, and don't explain why, that's not really a no comment. That's a please stop asking. It's time for your national news roundup. It's time for you to decide the good, bad, and ugly headlines this hour. And kicking us off, this next one, I really need us to sit in fully. In Houston, an ICE agent shot and killed Lorenzo Salgado Araujo during a traffic stop. He was 35 years working in this country. sending 3 American sons to college, actively pursuing legal status, biometrics done, paperwork filed. And federal officials say that he tried to ram an agent with his car. His sons say bystander video tells a different story. Video that shows little to no damage on his vehicle. His son Ronaldo stood at a press conference and said, quote, "I recognized him, not from his appearance, but from his voice crying for help as he lay on the street." This is not just a headline. That's a family's worst day, replayed publicly, while the federal government controls the only video. LULAC's president said it plainly. This has become, quotes, open season. Shoot first, explain later, and let the family beg for the truth. We've watched this pattern before in different uniforms, different decades, same result. State violence against a black or brown body, followed by a press release justifying it before the family even gets a death certificate. This is the 8th, count them, 8th death connected to federal immigration enforcement encounters since this administration ramped up its crackdown. 8. We're going to keep saying their names. They deserve as much. Lorenzo Salgado Araujo. Say it with me. Lorenzo Salgado Araujo. And finally, in this segment, Lonnie Bunch, the Smithsonian's secretary and the first Black American to ever hold that position, he just sent a staff memo directly disputing a White House report that accused the Smithsonian of, quotes, extreme political activism and, quotes, a radical view of American history. The White House report, 162 pages, dropped quietly on the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence, specifically complains that Smithsonian exhibits describe America as, quotes, systemically racist. And it's irritated that this criticism persists even after the country, quote, elected a Black president twice. Now let that sink in. The argument being made in writing by the federal government is that acknowledging historical racism is itself an act of political bias. Meanwhile, Secretary Bunch, a historian, someone who built the National Museum of African American History and Culture from the ground up, is telling his own staff in writing, our scholarship stands, not partisanship, scholarship. This is the same fight it's always been. Who gets to tell the story of this country? And whether telling the whole story is treated as an attack on it. Lonnie Bunch just said in writing, not on my watch. Much respect to Secretary Bunch. When we come forward, we're shifting gears. My guest, Beyond Impact CEO Vincent Jones, and our politics and pop culture correspondent Al Reynolds, they join me. We've got Ben Crump's newest case out of Mississippi, and Trump's finally being forced to pay E. Jean Carroll. You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. More when we come forward.
You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
As a fitness coach, my active psoriatic arthritis can slow me down. With Skyrizi, risankizumab Riza, I'm treating my skin and joint symptoms so I can keep moving. Skyrizi, a prescription-only injection for adults, helps me move with less joint pain, stiffness, swelling, and fatigue. And for those who have plaque psoriasis, 90% clearer skin is possible. With Skyrizi, there's no daily dosing. It's just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions, increased infections, or lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, get checked for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor about any flu-like symptoms or vaccines.
Thanks to Skyrizi, there's nothing like clearer skin and better movement. And that means everything. Ask your doctor about Skyrizi. Visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKY-RIZZI to learn more.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. 10 Toes In serves as a mentorship and domestic violence prevention program. They support, educate, and empower couples during and after incarceration. They assist male returning citizens to re-enter society successfully and to help them maintain a healthy relationship with their romantic partner. They offer a mentorship support group for formerly incarcerated men. 10 Toes In teaches its Intimate Relationships 101 curriculum at male prisons throughout the state of California. They host sister support group meetings for women who are intimately involved with incarcerated and formerly incarcerated men. 10 Toes In is a 501c3 nonprofit organization. To access their services or make a donation, please visit them online at 10toesin.org or find them on Facebook or Instagram. They are healing lives through relationships. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580. This November, you'll decide who leads California. So shouldn't you hear directly from the people asking for your vote? Join us for California Voices, a political town hall and ballot forum, Saturday, October 3rd, 2026. Meet candidates running for governor, lieutenant governor, attorney general, and other major statewide and local offices, including mayor of Los Angeles, city attorney, and LA County sheriff. Get clear, nonpartisan breakdowns of the propositions on your November ballot, both sides, no spin. And ask your questions directly, in real conversation, face to face. California Voices is brought to you by KBLA Talk 1580 and the Empowerment Congress, giving you the information you need before you vote. Mark your calendar, Saturday, October 3rd, 2026, California Voices. Follow KBLA 1580 for details and download the KBLA 1580 app. Your vote, your voice. Be there.
We have no permanent friends or permanent enemies. Only permanent interests. As we effort to build a more perfect union.
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai, and joining me now, a man who spent his career turning philanthropic dollars into real community impact. Vincent Jones, CEO of Beyond Impact, is with us, and a voice who always tells us what's actually happening at the intersection of politics and pop culture. Al Reynolds. Gentlemen, welcome back to A More Perfect Union.
You know, I'm glad to be back, but I'm upset.
Uh-oh.
I am upset that Brother Jones' picture looks better than mine on promotional material. And I need to know, who did I need to talk to over in the human resources or graphics department to have that change. That's all I got to say.
There is no universe where Al Reynolds does not look fine as can be. What are you talking about?
Okay, all right. Now you're going to light up these YouTube comments in a second.
Look, don't tempt me with a good time on a Wednesday night.
Well, it's so good to have you all here. Obviously, we have all been just gripped by a number of very tragic stories. One, locally here in Los Angeles, Eric Washington, a beloved public servant, was murdered in Compton, having a lot of people that are just absolutely, in complete despair about what just happened in Compton to this really incredible community leader. And then in Mississippi, the death of Nolan Xavier Wells. Let's start there. Nolan, who's 18 years old. He was 18 years old, an athlete out of Ocean Springs, Mississippi. He went missing on July 4th, a July 4th boat trip to Horn Island, and is found dead 2 days later. His family has now retained Ben Crump. Al, you track this space pretty closely. What stands out to you about how fast this case escalated to needing a civil rights attorney like Ben Crump?
Well, in my opinion, it had to, because there were too many unanswers. We weren't getting facts. We weren't getting timelines. We weren't getting real witnesses. We didn't have any records. The police was not giving us accountability. And given the scene where you saw 90% of the participants on the island or in the festives did not look like us, of course, this is how they were going to get answers. Now, I want to say this as respectfully as I possibly can. Some lawyers are brilliant courtroom technicians. That's not Ben Crump's lane. Some are constitutional scholars. That's not his lane. And some are even behind the scenes strategists. That's not his lane. But let me tell you what his lane is. Ben Crump is a genius because he not only understands the law, but he understands media. He understands public pressure. He understands grief, and he knows when to play the race card when it comes to national attention to get national answers from people that are trying to sweep something underneath the rug. That's why we hire Ben Crump. That's why we run it up the totem pole or whatever that pole is that we have to run this, ringing the alarm on, because we know that they cannot ignore him and the concerns and the voice that he has, not only in our community, but throughout the nation.
Vincent, from a community impact lens, when a family has to hire a civil rights lawyer just to get a transparent death investigation for their son, what does that tell us about the trust in these systems right now?
In this case, it tells me that those families of those kids have a lot of power. From what I understand, one of their parents is a judge. I think another one is a police chief. They're supremely connected, and all of them, every one of them, their families and the kids, they're no longer on social media. Like, they have coordinated their response. So what that suggests to me, if I was watching this on TV, I would say there's a smoking gun. Something has happened. And you need somebody like Brother Crump who can really be able to drive attention to the matter and try to cut through this cloak of secrecy that these powerful folks have in those families.
I mean, this morning I watched the live stream of conversation that Ben Crump had with Don Lemon on the Don Lemon Show, and learned a number of things, including when Nolan's family got his phone back, there were a number of text messages to some of those kids that were deleted, and so that was another red flag. In addition, we learned that Nolan was actually a good swimmer. I mean, he was, a Division I athlete, and so no surprise there. But we also learned that Nolan, was someone who had been friends with them for some time. This wasn't just sort of like, okay, a random boat trip, but there was some relationship there. They had gone to high school together. And so a lot of people are paying extra close attention to every single detail here, even though it feels very eerie. Feels very eerie. Here we have this story unfolding, and things are perhaps going to get a little eerier because on Friday, they're expecting that independent autopsy. The independent autopsy results, they're expecting that on Friday. Al, what should we be paying attention to as information comes out related to that independent autopsy?
So for me, I got to be honest with you. I need to know who the independent autopsy person is. I need to know what their track record is. Who have they worked on in the past? Because when you have powerful people moving in concert, like Brother Jones says, I don't trust anybody unless it's somebody I know personally. I think what we need to look for in particular is wording, narrative, how they explain certain things. If anything sounds fishy, I'm going to say it's fishy. And I know that that's a horrible state to be in, because usually we rely on these types of things to give us clarity. But in this particular case, when 16, 17, and 18-year-olds become strategic, more strategic about their phones and their social media than they are about where they go to school and how they make money, we know that it's silence and it's strategy for a reason. So an autopsy, to me, has to be more than just a basic autopsy. It has to give us details. It has to be detailed. It has to be comprehensive. It has to be exhaustive, in my opinion, in order for me to believe it.
Vincent, we know that the Trump Justice Department has been quite hostile to Black communities, investigations that are seeking justice for, civil rights violations. We've seen a complete backsliding from this Department of Justice when it comes to civil rights investigations. Ben Crump said as much in that interview with Don Lemon, where they can't really turn to the federal government for support. And so they have to work with state and local officials in Mississippi. How confident are you that even if they follow the facts in a state like Mississippi, that justice will ultimately be served for Nolan?
If we look at this in a historical perspective, here we go, brother. I'm about to get some history. Lynching happened a lot in Mississippi, and I forget the organization. It may have been the NAACP. They did a report recently, like in May or something like that, about modern day lynching, and they found that in the last few years, there's been about 75 or so lynchings that they could definitely say were lynchings. 20 of them were in Mississippi. So something is still happening in Mississippi that we have not addressed, despite all these years of progress, quote unquote progress. And I also want to note we're ominously close to the anniversary of the day that Emmett Till was murdered, August 28th. And I know that date because of Beyond Impact. We're organizing a donor tour to Mississippi to be able to help people to see the conditions on the ground, what we're organizing against, to be able to improve the systems that people are living under, because the state apparatus in Mississippi is still hostile to people who do not have power, people who look like us, people who don't have the resources to hire expensive lawyers. So it is unfortunate right now that the Trump quote unquote Justice Department is closed to people who look like us, especially in Mississippi, where people who live there who have not had justice for a long time.
I saw a post that I think Joy Reid might have reposted this afternoon. It looked like one of Nolan's friends had put up sort of a tribute post, and it really just sort of broke my heart. That a young teenage kid is having to put up that kind of tribute post for a friend that obviously meant a lot to him, a friend that nobody was prepared to lose. Al, what's your message to some of the young people out there that may not be as steeped in the history of what's happened in Mississippi, the injustices that have happened in Mississippi, that right now are just saying, wait a minute, what happened to my friend, right? What's your message to some of the young people out there that are getting tapped in to this case?
The message is, those stories that your parents tell you, they're not just stories to take up noise or to make noise or to take up time. They're real life stories of lived experiences, and you are not immune to these lived experiences of people that has spanned hundreds of years. Also, I want to say this is why you cannot allow for institutions, educational institutions, high schools, to take, even colleges, to take the Black history out of this classroom. This is an opportunity where they're not shocked because they see this, but they understand because they were taught this. So for me, the message to them is, listen, it may feel like different times, But in so many ways, if you knew the history, you would know that time doesn't do anything but repeat itself, especially in the United States.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Switching gears, we know that a judge has ordered the release of the $5.8 million that Trump owed E. Jean Carroll after his team tried to block the payout, at least, at the last minute they did. Al, is anybody really surprised here?
That he had to pay it out?
That ultimately the judge said, run her check.
I am. I am, because he writes their check. The Supreme Court actually said, hey, I think though they had to. Now, if they had allowed this to be overturned, they would have definitely been looked at more than side eye how we look at them now, because this is a basic liable case. This wasn't a criminal case. This is a liable case. He was found liable. How are you going to set a precedence that your lower judges don't have the right or the capacity as lawyers in the Supreme Court to make these types of decisions? So to even escalate it to the Supreme Court, hopefully to get, one of those, hey, I put you there, you need to give me this one. They would have definitely compromised every single thing about that cabinet. And I'm glad that they didn't. You can spend a lot of this, you can spend this a lot of different ways, but at the end of the day, the sitting president of the United States of America was found liable for sexual assault and abuse, period, point blank.
Vincent, in about a minute, is there a broader lesson here about accountability actually catching up, even slowly, even for the most powerful person in the country?
Unfortunately, I don't think so, because she hasn't gotten her money. What I wish she would do is talk to Cardi B, who has been had her foot on that podcaster's neck about her money, and figure out some ways to be able to get it, because he has to pay that money. And it's unfortunate that he's been found guilty. He probably spent more money fighting paying that money than he will actually pay.
Ain't that some stuff?
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you, when we come forward, Al's about to
call the graphics department.
Well, that too, but we're going to talk about the flood in political ads. It's some people say it's a leveling tool. Some people say it's a lying machine. We're going to ask Al and Vincent what they think. You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580.
The audience is listening. Thought-provoking, eye-opening, heart-rendering. This is where authentic voices meet powerful discussions on culture, community, and change. This is where Black voices matter. He's breaking boundaries, amplifying diverse perspectives, and tackling the issues that matter most to you. You're inside A More Perfect Union with Dr. Nii-Quartelai on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. Chicago leaders are launching a $12 million project to reduce flooding on the city's west side.
$12 million of stormwater storage projects that will reduce flooding on Chicago's west side.
Black Mayor Brandon Johnson and other officials toured the new underground wing storage site, which is designed to help prevent street and basement flooding and protect more than 2,900 buildings across 3 wards. Lawyers say they're ready for a preliminary hearing in the murder case against Black singer David. The 21-year-old, whose real name is David Anthony Burke, is accused of killing 14-year-old Celeste Rivas Hernandez and leaving her dismembered body in his Tesla. He has pleaded not guilty. And Will Smith is crediting Philadelphia Mayor Parker, who is Black, with helping make sure his concert still happened after storms caused an hours-long delay over the weekend. Smith had left the area during the weather delay, but later returned to take the stage. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Now at Big O, get happy with our healthy car special. Includes a full synthetic oil change, 4-tire rotation, alignment check, brake, battery, and windshield wiper check. Plus, fluids topped off, all for only $59.99. Healthy car, happy life. Now at your local Big O Tires.
Is this the tether? This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Add the Philadelphia 76ers to the short list of NBA teams with the best chance of signing LeBron as a free agent. NBA sources claim LeBron has given permission to his management team to review a proposal from the Sixers. The Sixers have become a strong contender in the Eastern Conference after making a trade for All-Star guard Jaylen Brown from the Boston Celtics. The Sixers have a great young point guard in Tyrese Maxey, Joel Embiid in the middle, and a rising star in VJ Edgecombe at shooting guard. LeBron is not given a timetable on deciding who he wants to play with for his 24th NBA season. The other teams on LeBron's short list, Golden State, Miami, and Cleveland. Since turning pro in 2018 at the age of 14, African-American tennis star Coco Gauff has earned $32.6 million. She can add $4.75 million to that if she wins her next 2 matches at Wimbledon. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
You have something to say, and we want to hear it. KBLA Talk 1580 is engagement radio, not outrage radio. A place where your hopes, your frustrations, and your ideas are welcome. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Real talk, real people, real Los Angeles. KBLA Talk 1580, the station that sounds like the city looks. Tune in on your AM radio dial at 1580. Download our free KBLA 1580 app or listen live on our website at KBLA1580.com.
Unapologetically progressive.
You can't fix what you won't face, and we face it every day. This is KBLA Talk 1580.
All I need is one mic.
With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Tavis Smiley. Let's get something straight, shall we? Holding a black elected official accountable is not the same as having a personal beef with them. That distinction matters, and too often it gets blurred, sometimes on purpose, I think. The minute someone raises a real concern about outcomes, about votes, about spending priorities, about broken promises, it gets reframed as an attack, as disrespect, as tearing down our own. We need to stop that, y'all. That framing does a disservice to the very communities these leaders represent. Accountability is not betrayal. Accountability is what elected office requires from everybody, regardless of the seat or who's sitting in it. Let me ask you a quick question. Do you think I have a personal beef with Donald Trump? It ain't personal. It's his anti-black policies. You feel me? So why is it always framed as personal animus when the critique is in black? See, you can miss me with that mess. Black communities have fought too hard and for too long to get representation at the table. That fight doesn't end once someone wins an election and becomes president of the country, or for that matter, the city council. If anything, it raises the stakes. Representation without results is not the goal. Representation that delivers, now that's the goal. So, in the future, when we talk about a policy failure, let's talk about the policy. Let's keep our eyes on the actual record, the votes, the budgets, the promises, the perennially missed deadlines, the outcomes in people's daily lives. Because the moment we start treating accountability as disloyalty, we lose the ability to ask for better from anyone. We must never surrender our agency to be outraged when our leaders underperform. Our communities deserve leaders who welcome scrutiny, not ones who hide behind identity to avoid it. Now, let me put my hard hat on, go back outside, and see if these procrastination Crenshaw construction crews have shown up yet. I'm saving space for grace, but if these trucks don't show up soon, well, you already know. With the KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Tavis Smiley, and as always, we welcome your feedback.
National news, the consequence, informed opinion, and analysis beyond the headlines. You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580.
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai and delighted to be in conversation with Vincent Jones, the CEO of Beyond Impact, and Al Reynolds, our politics and pop culture correspondent. Since we were on break, a little bit of breaking news. Graham Plattner has dropped his bid for Senate after facing an allegation of rape. NPR is reporting that the scandal-ridden Senate campaign of Graham Plattner in Maine has come to a screeching end after a rape allegation caused nearly everyone of his Democratic allies to withdraw their support. Plattner made the announcement in a video that was posted to social media not too long ago, saying, quotes, "We believe that for the movement to continue, it can't be me. And for that reason, we are suspending campaign operations." We know that he also did not pass up the opportunity to sort of, blame the establishment. Vincent, I know you've been tracking some of the noise from this campaign pretty closely. What do you make of Graham Plattner ending his campaign?
It's a failure of vetting. My understanding is that in this race, the campaign manager chose to go the cheap route and do a less thorough vetting process and didn't surface the things that would have derailed his campaign. And now it has the potential to make it so that our chances of winning back the Senate are less likely. So that's an unfortunate thing. But I'm glad that he did decide to step down or to suspend his campaign. He was acting as if he wasn't going to do that and making it more complicated for the party to find another candidate. It's interesting to see what the state party does, because what I've been reading, that they're trying to figure out a process to be able to find somebody rather than just anoint somebody. Hopefully, whatever they do creates a situation where the final candidate is poised to win, because we need to take that seat.
Al, is it just me, or does this feel like deja vu? Right? Yeah. Here the Democrats go again. You got another consequential election, a consequential race. And in this case, to Vincent's point, simple vetting could have prevented this from happening. Is it just me, or are Democrats in these races sort of over-indexing and getting in their own way?
No disrespect to you, Brother Jones. No disrespect to you, Brother Dr. Nii-Quartelai. Our sitting president, sir, has been found liable of doing exactly what has caused this man to drop out of an election, right? So you got the president that's getting away with it. So maybe he was like, oh, well, maybe if the sitting president of the United States can get away with such disgusting stuff, maybe I'll have a time too. I'm kidding on that. But it's true, right? Like if your president has the ability to be found liable for sexual assault, right, or abuse, isn't that the same thing, or I would say adjacent or neighbor of what this what this politician is being accused of? I think the good thing here, though, is that he did drop out. Thank goodness. And I think, when you got a sitting president that trivializes the political process and the political figures in America, you can't be upset when other people want to emulate it.
Vincent, to Al's point, I think there are a number of people on the internet and off that point out the difference in how Republicans and Democrats respond to allegations like this. There are a number of folks who have noted that if Graham Plattner was running as a Republican in Maine, he probably would get the Ken Paxton treatment from Texas, meaning they would say press on, right? Deny, deny, deny. Right. I'm not saying that he should or shouldn't, but what do you make of folks who raise that question? The question that Democrats seem to fold perhaps, too early, or, Democrats, play by a different playbook, a different moral code than Republicans?
I'm going to take a slight difference. I was watching something earlier talking about this case, and it was talking about at what point do we allow for forgiveness? No one is perfect, and we can't imagine that every person runs for office is going to have an unblemished record. I mean, it's funny. So the other day I had dinner with a high school teacher, and we talked about something that happened way back then, and we joked how we were glad that we didn't have cell phone cameras everywhere at that point in time.
Right.
But nowadays, people are growing up in a world where every moment is photographed, good, bad, or indifferent. And so you're going to capture something, you're going to say something that's going to upset somebody. So how do we create space for people to be able to be imperfect, to forgive, to have their actions show that they forgive, and be able to run? In this case, it's a little bit different because the allegations are a little fresher. It's I always tend to believe victims, but I also believe people have a right to a trial, to be able to be tried in court. So we haven't had that ability to do that. It's too recent. If they would do proper vetting, he would have known that all these things would have come out, and it would have been a distraction and a very sensitive race. So I don't think Democrats in this case are making the wrong move. I think in general, as a society, we have to create space for forgiveness and for people to run for office who are not these perfect images of in the past.
Well, shifting gears, there is a piece. There's a piece that is out that's asking whether AI can equalize political campaign advertising, or whether it just becomes a faster, cheaper tool for spreading lies. Out, pop culture and politics collide right here. What's your read?
Well, listen, let's not pretend like politicians haven't been lying for a long time. I think what AI is doing, in my opinion, is not rewriting that narrative, but what it's doing, it makes the lie look expensive. It makes the lie sound official. It moves it fast through the ecosystem better, right? It gives us this kind of dressed up luxury feel good that we should trust. And as you know, this new generation, they really value trust. Like my generation, I'm Gen X, right? You had to have achievement. You had to have success, and you had to have experience in order for us to trust you, right? The baby boomers, you had to be, what school did you go to? How long have you worked in the industry? How did you serve? You had to be convinced by that resume. This new generation, the millennials and the Gen Zs, they are all about how does it look, and how does that look make them feel? And that's when it becomes dangerous, because now anybody can make something a lie, a slander, any ugly thing. They could turn a campaign into a smear campaign against someone, and depending on how they craft it and how they make it look, people believe it without checking sources, because those generations don't check lived experiences and background, and where do they go to school, and how long have they been in politics. It's not required anymore. So for me, that's the part of AI that really frightens me, and it takes it from elevating things to making things very dangerous.
Vincent, from an impact and equity lens, who benefits and who gets hurt first?
Did I lose you all?
When no, you're still there. We can hear you. But back to Vincent, I was saying from an impact and equity lens, who benefits and who gets hurt first when AI generated disinformation, when it hits communities that are already targeted by voter suppression tactics?
I think if we take a step back on this topic, the AI industry is flooding the political airwaves with all kinds of money. And they're using AI, they're using regular tactics to be able to get their way. They're having a really big impact on primary elections. So So that way, if there are people who don't support their view on regulation, they try to make it so that the average voter doesn't even see them. And by and large, from a 2-to-1 ratio, they've been giving money to Republicans. So we can look at the ads, at the product of the industry, and talk about the impact it's having. But I want to take a bigger step and look at the industry and how they're impacting the choices that we have as voters, and the way they're impacting the election process is definitely having a negative impact on people who look like us, people who want to make sure that their water is not being sucked up by data centers and so on and so forth. So we need to do more to make sure that we're looking at how they're impacting our election process.
Well, speaking of doing more, we know that there are Republicans that are attempting to do more to prove that Mitch McConnell is alive. Republican leadership is trying to tamp down growing speculation about Mitch McConnell's health as a quiet rebellion builds within the GOP ranks. Al, what are you hearing?
All right, I'm trying to be as respectful as I possibly can, because this is a person that is dealing with health issues, and I do wish him the best as it relates to recovery. And even as an elderly person, being a caregiver for my elderly parents, the dignity part of that, I totally get it. But let me be very clear about what I'm saying. You serve in a public office. You don't serve in a private family office where everything is based around privacy. You serve in a public office. You've been doing it for decades. So now that you are frail and that you are sick, you can't just decide that you want to check out and keep that private. Especially not when your whole side of the lane drugged Joe Biden like he was like a rag doll. If he misspoke, if he paused for a sentence, if he stumbled, his cognitive abilities were questioned. His health was a question. Was he able to lead? Only for now, when it's on your side of the aisle, when it's one of your family members, you now want privacy. No, it doesn't. We're going to have the same heat. We're going to show up the same visceral, disgusting narrative that you did when it was happening on our side of the aisle. Unfortunately, this is emotional for me because I am tired of this administration having a double standard across the board about everything. I guess if nothing else, they're consistent, right? But it's just not fair. What you dish, you should be able to receive when it's your turn.
And speaking of folks dishing stuff out, a lot of folks are paying attention to what LAPD is dishing out, or at least intending to dish out in 2028. LAPD is actually considering canceling police academy classes just to free up more officers for street patrol ahead of the 2028 Olympics. Vincent, what's your gut reaction to that kind of short-term staffing logic?
I think it's BS. I think if they go through with that, it will be a shame, because the Olympics is an opportunity to show our city to the world. And what do you want to show them? Police? That's not the LA that I want the world to see. You know, the LA 84 Olympics set the model for the modern Olympics. It was the first one to turn a profit. There was a foundation created by the profits from that Olympics that's still helping people in inner cities and underserved children to be able to have access to play and athletic activities and whatnot. And if we can't recreate that success in LA for the next Olympics and do it safely with the police we have now, because I'm certain we have more police now than we did then, even as a percentage of the population. And I don't believe that we need to have more police. This would be a disaster. And I'm sure people will fight against it.
And there are a lot of people who point to the fact that, you know, cities like LA have record low crime right now. Right. And so what's the justification for even more police when you have record low crime? And so obviously an issue we're going to continue to track. When we come forward, we got one more story before we close. And it's a big one, a new global cancer report from the World Health Organization You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580.
Striving to make America a nation as good as its promise. This is A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Listen up, KBLA delegation. We have something you need to hear. Right now, you may qualify for low-cost home internet. We're not talking about a catch. This is real. Many internet service providers offer low-cost internet plans if anyone in your household is enrolled in CalFresh, Medi-Cal, SSI, or is income eligible. There are a lot of families in our community who deserve to be connected. Here's all you do. Call 844-461-7893. That's the Get Connected call center. Real people ready to help you enroll today. Or go online to internetforallnow.org to find a provider near you. You may also qualify for a low-cost computer through Human IT. Connectivity is not a luxury. In 2026, it's a necessity, and you deserve access just like everybody else. Call 844-461-7893. That's 844-461-7893. KBLA's got you. If you missed any of this, you can always go to our website at kbla1580.com. Brought to you by KBLA Talk 1580 in partnership with the California Emerging Technology Fund, CETF.
Are you feeling the heat? LADWP can help you stay cool this summer and save money. Through the Cool LA program, eligible customers can receive instant rebates of up to $275 on new portable, window, and wall air conditioners. Shop the Cool LA Marketplace today and beat the heat and save. Learn more and apply at ladwp.com/cool-LA. That's ladwp.com/cool-LA.
Going to a World Cup match in LA this summer? Ditch the parking stress and ride Metro. With direct service from across LA County, it's the easy way to get there for just $1.75 each way.
As the poet laureate of Harlem, Langston Hughes, once said, I too sing America. I am the darker brother. They send me to eat in the kitchen when company comes, but I laugh and eat well and grow strong. Tomorrow, I'll sit at the table when company comes. Nobody dare say to me, eat in the kitchen then. Besides, they'll see how beautiful I am and be ashamed. I too am America. KBLA Talk 1580 and the Inner City Youth Orchestra of Los Angeles invite you to attend the 18th season finale concert, I Too Sing America, honoring the 250th anniversary of the United States of America, this Sunday, July 12, 3 p.m. at the Walt Disney Concert Hall. Curated by conductor Charles Dickerson and performed by the largest orchestra of color in the nation, I Too Sing America promises to be a show you won't soon forget. This Sunday, July 12, 3 p.m. at the Walt Disney Concert Hall in downtown Los Angeles. Purchase tickets at icyola.org or from the Music Center box office at musiccenter.org.
I too sing America.
Notable journalists, industry leaders, lawmakers, change makers, tastemakers, and you working to build a more perfect union on KBLA Talk 1580.
So we close today. It's time for the quiet part out loud. And we close today with something bigger than any one headline. The World Health Organization is out with a new report projecting cancer cases will soar worldwide. And this part matters most to us. It points to persistent inequities in intervention, in diagnosis, and treatment. Translation, it's not that we don't know how to catch cancer early or treat it well. It's that access to that knowledge, access to that care is still split along the same old lines: income, geography, and yes, that's right, you guessed it, race. Now, I don't know a single family in our community, mine included, that hasn't been touched by the disease in some form or another. A mother, an uncle, a coworker, a pastor, and too often our stories involve a diagnosis that came late, not because the disease was sneaky, but because the system was slow to listen to us. It was slow to screen us. It was slow to believe our pain was real. So here's my ask today and every day: check on the people you love, not just how are you, but really ask. Encourage the screening. Sit with somebody at the appointment that they're scared to go to alone. We cannot out-argue a global health inequity in one broadcast, but absolutely make sure that the people in our own circle are not falling through the cracks because nobody asked twice. In our remaining minutes, Vincent and Al, I want to give you a chance to quickly sort of speak the name of anyone that you know that is a survivor or whose story should serve as an inspiration that encourages us all to pull up and show up for people fighting cancer.
Well, sir, my mother had cancer, and luckily she beat it. It was caught very early. She is someone who avails herself of healthcare, was able to find it early and get treatment. A friend of mine named Jack, he felt something in his side, his abdomen. He went to doctor once. Oh, it's nothing. Twice. Oh, it's nothing. So he went to a different doctor. That doctor said, oh, you're going to surgery tomorrow. And it turned out that he had cancer. He has treated it in different ways for a while, and ultimately he died of it. Now, we won't know if that doctor the first time would have listened and done the right things, would he still be alive today? But it's definitely a tale of two cancer diagnoses, where one found it early, got treated early and lived. The other one, it was not found early, and now they're dead.
Al, in about a minute.
I want to speak to my brother, Ed Reynolds, who stage 4 cancer and, was able to beat it. He's still in remission right now. And I think the sad part is one thing that we're all understanding, especially in the African-American community, as we are getting the diagnosis later, it is putting a financial crisis in our community in a deeper level than it ever has before in order to just live. And I think that's the part that we've got to be more vocal about. And that's the effects of cancer, not only in the body, but on the community, because I'm telling you, he's walking away from this with, a bill close to $500,000. And he's in his 60s. So when he should be in his golden years of enjoying his life, he now has this increased pressure and stress of now protecting his legacy and the wealth that he passes on, because a part of that wealth is going to be taken. And in many people's cases, it's going to be the transfer of debt, which is a scary conversation, but we definitely should start having it.
Well, thank you to both of you for doing your part to seed that conversation to all of us. That is our show for today. Vincent Jones, Al Reynolds, thank you both. To everybody, all of our leaders, learners, and listeners that are watching and riding home with us, take care of your body, take care of your peace, take care of each other. Remember, don't panic, organize, do what you can from where you are with what you have, but by all means, do something. My thanks to the entire village that produces a more perfect union each and every day. Our executive producer, Tavis Smiley, our sound engineer, brother Andy, to our show producers, Faraji and Art. We thank all of you. We'll see you tomorrow, everybody. You've been listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580.